It was even a time where a lot of young men gravitated towards Islam, became Muslim in there. Some fronted, you know, and then others were sincere. But you back in the 70s and 80s, a lot of people that were incarcerated came home and changed people. They were disciplined, they were more mature, they were focused. Now instead, you know, people came home more violent, more vicious. You saw more scars on their face. It was horrible, horrible.
So what do you think it was that, you know, that brothers, you know, in the 70s were, you know, going to get more knowledge, like you say, because when you got the knowledge, right, you got it in God power, right? So, you know, and they get knowledge, but then somewhere along the line, like, you know, like in institutions, they run it towards the gang life.
It's hard to say, you know, what happened. I'm trying to understand, because I just felt that brothers who had knowledge self had a responsibility. You know, you have to be a light in here. You could make a difference. You could end a lot of this right here. Even with the ideas of the Latin kings, you know, I studied what they were about. You know, so if brothers were true to the organizations that they belonged in, they should have sat down and brought about some type of peace. But I think that the greed and survival, you know, you see a kid come through and he got on a fresh pair of sneakers, you rob him, you know, and he's from a different culture. Because even in '74, you had a guy, Superman, he was raping dudes. You know what I mean? And a lot of guys got raped. So it became a point of retaliation. You know what I mean? You do this to me, I'm gonna get you back. And it's just tit for tat. It goes back and forth. And there was nobody really trying to teach them. You know, nobody was upholding the teaching. It was just all about survival. Because I remember one brother who was a really good warrior brother, and you know, his cell was a mess. He says, I'm not trying to get comfortable up in here. This ain't my home. And he was a very respected brother. And he had no interest at all in being no light up in there. All he wanted to do was get out and go home and leave it alone. And I found a lot of people weren't trying to get involved like that, because I was trying to do it. You know, I was trying to bring brothers together to build and end this, but at the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do, because this is all survival. You can hear what I'm saying, and once I leave, you're going to go and do what you have to do. You're going to manipulate, because you have no control over that. You don't have no control over officer. You don't really run nothing. You're just there. You know what I mean? You have a little bit of respect. You know, you can survive for a minute, but you can't control stuff that goes on behind your back. You know what I mean? There's a lot of guys that got robbed and just didn't say nothing, because they knew if they said something, they're going to feel it. You know, I remember getting people's sneakers back that got them stolen, you know, and back then the attitude was you got to handle it. But why you got to do this for? I remember getting a lot of people's sneakers back. I can get them back for that moment, but once I leave, they're going to take them again. Or you're going to be deemed a snitch. You know, so it was just a horrible world, brother. You know, I spent 20 years in an atmosphere, and I'm traumatized behind it now, you know, even just speaking about it, because, you know, I just saw the destruction.
If Mecca did this.